All right, here today. Nice early Saturday morning with a champion in his own right and good friend James Te Huna. Welcome to the Rich Life Projects, my friend.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure, absolute pleasure. So, just getting back to what's been happening lately.
Bit of exercising, bit of coaching, bit of mentoring.
Yep.
And I'm 40, going on 41, another month.
41, mate. Imagine being in your 40s.
Always like, when I was young, I pictured like 40-year-olds being like dinosaurs.
100%.
I do feel like that sometimes, but I don't feel that old.
I know. Well, I suppose you're like me. I'm 25 in my mind, but the body feels like about 60. But when you turn 40, when I turned 40, I was like, oh, this will be 40's all right. 40's the new 30.
Yeah.
And then, because when I was 20, I used to be going, mate, imagine if you got to 40 years old, because I didn't even think I'd live to 40. But you think, wow, imagine being 40. And now I'm 48. I'm like, wow, imagine being 50. That's what I've got to look forward to.
That's a dinosaur.
No way, bro. That's when you come in. That's the 50s, the new 40s, and that's hopefully the new youth. But everything else going all right. Still in Penrith, Sydney.
Yep, I still live in Penrith. I've been there for like 24 years now.
Yeah. I remember we were just speaking about you went to have a bit of a look at moving out of Penrith, but you couldn't move out of Penrith. The heart's still in the community.
Yeah, you know the community. You know the people
100%.
around. You kind of hear of like people moving away to different towns and areas, and they spend a lot of time in that town and they miss that community. And
100%.
Yeah, there's always something you miss. And I know everyone there, so it's
100%. But and what's been happening sort of lately in regards to obviously been training? I see you training all the time, and you got your Engage 100. That's the chin ups, the push ups, and I know what it is because obviously I do it through lockdown. When you give it to me, I was just like, I'm going to try this workout, and to be honest, it helped me in regards to. But the Engage 100,
it's pretty much like the exercises that I got taught when I was a kid. So when I was a young teenager, when I first went to the boxing gym, we done our boxing drills, done the bag work and stuff like that, partner work, and then the conditioning and the strength work came from push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, all that stuff. And it's funny, like I started out doing those exercises, didn't understand what it was going to do to me.
Yeah, what it was doing.
But I just got, just did what I was told. And then I spent a long time in the fighting world, throwing around weights and thinking about being explosive and trying to get
all
bigger,
the
stronger,
new
faster.
Fandango things for the strength conditioning and
there's so much out there,
Now there is,
now, there's heaps. There's a new exercise coming out every single month.
Oh, probably every week someone comes up with something.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like traditional workouts, they work and they work well.
Yep.
If I had stuck with those exercises,
I remember talking this conversation.
Yeah, if I had stuck with those exercises, I probably would have had less injuries during my career.
Yeah, true that. Yeah,
100% I would have been.
Yeah.
But
you're not to know that, are you? When when you're young and you sort of all these new things and you want to go to the elite, you think that's how the elite train.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to do. That must work because the elite are doing it.
Yeah.
But if you really, like I suppose when you think back to the old times, they were picking up tree logs, they were picking up bricks, that was their toughness training or their strength training. So you think back to that, and they sort of got through as tougher probably than our generation today.
Yeah, 100%.
So, sort of you go, oh, why am I doing all this new Fandango stuff when I can be actually still doing the hard training, not so much picking up logs and that, but the chin-ups, the push-ups, the body squats, all that sort of stuff. I mean, it's definitely a good effect.
It's just been great for my body.
Yeah.
I'm 41 now. It's me lifting heavy weight. My body feels it.
Yeah, 100%.
And I didn't realize how much it would strengthen help improve my posture.
Yeah,
especially so many decades, a couple of decades in combat sports. Your shoulders roll forward.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of anterior work and not much posterior. So it's good to be able to fix everything up and
especially going into our older age. It's having a stronger body, and obviously the stronger your body is, the stronger the mind gets. That's always a plus, isn't it? Everything we do,
100%.
So going back to obviously way back to when we grow up. So you're born obviously Darfield, Canterbury, New Zealand. What was growing up like? What was the ins and outs of New Zealand or Canterbury growing up? Obviously with your brother Tama, who's a legend in his own right as well.
So my mother's from the South Island of New Zealand. It's like it's not much of the population of New Zealand.
It's
the more the North Island. And my father's from the North Island.
Oh, righto.
So I was born in the South Island, but then I grew up in the North Island. Mum, Dad was the worker of the family. Mum had a full-time job looking after us.
100%. That's full-time there. So it's just you and Tama, isn't it? Just the brothers?
Yeah, just me and my older brother Tama, who's 4 years older than me. He's the leader of the family.
100%.
And we grew up in a small little country town. It was known for winery.
Right.
Exporting wine. So we lived in a temporary house. It was on a large orchard, grapevine orchard.
Right.
It was a pretty cool place to go.
I was going to say that.
It's like weird. Creeks going through all the orchards and everything. We used to go eeling and shooting little birds with a slug gun and slingshot and stuff like that, doing all that naughty stuff.
Is that illegal stuff these days? How times have changed, eh? You used to be able to sit out in your balcony and start, pee-wee shooting bats and all that. Now, if you do that, you go to jail for animal cruelty and that. But that's how life is changed. So growing up on the orchards, with the big fella?
And then, my life through school was quite hard because I had a lot of anxiety. I was often called a mute. Had a lot of difficulties, a lot of insecurities. Learning difficulties. Had a bad stutter because I was too afraid of saying the wrong thing, or I didn't want to. Social anxiety. I want to be in the group, but I'll hang on the outside, sit on the fence, and just, try and be some part of it. So I had a pretty hard time, get through school
in that growing up,
bullied and being a target and stuff like that. So combat sports for me was a huge tool for me to be able to, strengthen myself and
have that confidence,
thrive a bit more.
Definitely.
Otherwise, if I didn't
you find that a lot, don't you? Like you find the stories that fighters usually come back with is when they have some, as you say, with your issues, learning disabilities or a stutter or something that hasn't give you confidence, but then they always find their way into the fight game where they probably still feel fearful of the fight game, but it gives them that confidence because they're starting to do something that, one, gives them confidence, two, protect themselves from bullying and all that. Obviously, when I did have hair, it was growing up with red hair and freckles. So when you're in school, you had to go, man, it's a fight every week when you got red hair and freckles. So, and I used to hate fighting, so I used to just talk my way out of fights until I started doing the Kyokushin karate and all that sort of stuff. So it's, some of those stories you hear, and you always ask when the fighters go, what's your background and what comes of it? It's always
all similar, eh?
Always comes back to that, the hard upbringing as that. And what about your brother Tama? With growing up, he sort of in the same sort of boat, or what was his?
He so we got into boxing. I was 12 years old. Like in that town, there wasn't any boxing gym or martial art gym there. We moved to another town, and there was there was no boxing gym there. We moved to another town. They got a job as a security guard at a local pub.
Righto.
And then there's a guard. He got there's like conversations happening in amongst the locals, and they're talking about all the youth. Like some of the youth playing up in the streets and stuff. So,
right.
Thought, it'd be good if we can get these kids active and get 100%. Them into something. And then conversation led to boxing being a tool to use for those kids. And, my dad put my hand up in the an ex-boxer was there, and he put his hand up to be, part of it. And
yeah, right.
And the publican, he had a storage place at the back, large storage place.
Yep.
And then he goes, "Here, guys, if you can use that."
Yeah,
so then kicked off from there, and your dad put some time into building this gym. We all did.
Yeah, yeah.
And the community built it.
Yeah, okay. And again, as I said before in the conversation, it's the outside people who don't understand the martial arts or the boxing, and when people like yourself or myself, and we mentor teenagers, and we go, it's best if you bring us your teenagers and we'll train them. Yep. We'll make them better men or better people. But they think taking them to a boxing gym only they're going to create more violence for that teenager, but it actually works in the opposite, as you know, and I know. It works the opposite because they all think they can fight, and they all think they're aggressive, but when they come to a gym and it's packed full of other teenagers, and then you go, okay, well, now you're going to train together, and then they really see what training's like.
Yeah.
That's where I say it's the reverse psychology. It's where you tip it over the other side, where they go, oh, well, now I don't have to be violent because I already know how to protect myself.
Yeah.
And that's probably what your old man started back in that time as well.
Yep.
Just getting them off the street.
Yeah.
Into that sport.
But it works both ways, eh? It works against that teenager that's the bully.
Yeah, yeah.
Throwing his weight around.
100%.
And then pulls him back down to earth.
Yep.
And the other way too, the little kid getting picked on and self-esteem and self-confidence, and then make him grow as well. So it's it's an awesome tool. To all teenagers.
100%. 100%. And is the new wave engaged? Is that still going on?
Yeah.
You still got that mentor program going on?
Yeah. So I've got a mentoring program, and it targets out of home care at risk youth.
Youth, yeah. Okay.
So it's through community services.
Yeah.
So basically, I connect them back to community. So they might be struggling, like these kids can be at harm of themselves.
Yeah.
Risk of harming themselves or others.
Or others, yep.
And then they start, isolating themselves.
Yeah.
So I jump in, build a rapport.
Yeah.
What are you into? What kind of, you into footy, you into
basically
boxing,
befriend them.
Yeah.
And when you're a good mentor, and I've found that when you can talk on their level, because you've been through the struggles that they've been through, you become friends very quickly with those. They open up a lot quicker. Yeah. I feel if the corporates, someone says, they're talking down to that teenager, then they're like, oh, hang on, this is like my father or my mother talking. But when you befriend them and you talk on their level, that's what I found, that it's a lot easier to befriend the teenagers because you've gone through the struggles and you know how they feel. Yeah. And then they feel that vibe that you've been there before as well.
Yeah.
That's what I found rewarding when you're doing those mentoring things.
Yeah. It's I do a lot of listening to them for them. They but they're quite as when we first meet, but they break the ice and stuff, and they realise that I'm just like bit of a clown sometimes. And go, this guy's not so tough after all.
Yeah, he's not tough.
He's got some messed up ears and everything. He's got a head like a football. But he's not so tough. But I do a lot of listening, and then they open up and okay, cool. You're into this. You're into that. You're having this issue. You're having that issue. Yeah. Start asking questions. Yep. Get some answers. Find some solutions. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a great thing.
Yeah.
Definitely a great thing. So you started the career, 2003.
Yeah, MMA,
MMA career. Before that, because I know Tama back in the day, and when I say back in the day, I was in that back in the day where Tama used to be one of the big names in kickboxing and that going around in Sydney.
Yep.
And we used to fight on the undercards of shows, kickboxing and back in the Kyokushin days. But did you start off with a bit of kickboxing yourself?
Yeah, I did. So I started boxing in New Zealand.
Yep.
Then we came over. Then Tama started kickboxing. So, bigger brother, I followed his lead. I started kickboxing.
Yep.
I was thinking it. He was good.
Yeah. No, as I say, like he's when people say Te Huna, like people like myself, people in my era, they sort of go, yeah, that dude was tough. He was like one of the OGs of the fight game back in the day. And kickboxing was big back in the day too. Like that was,
it was
coming out of karate.
Yep.
And then it was the kickboxing, and even the kickboxing in New South Wales. And then you had Muay Thai starting up. But even when you're kickboxing, you heard Muay Thai and you're like, what the hell's Muay Thai? But with the kickboxing K1, it was more those rules where I remember Tamo, doing those. So how many, fight-wise, how many fights you go through in that?
I only had a couple of amateur kickboxing fights.
Yeah, okay.
He had a whole bunch though.
Yeah.
I only had a couple of amateur kickboxing fights, and I quickly moved on to, I started going to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, okay.
And then I had like a handful of jiu-jitsu matches.
Yep.
In wrestling, submission wrestling, went that path.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And just carried on from there. So the career started in 2003. Local circuit, obviously, that's where everyone starts, the local circuit. So some of the names, obviously, Hector Lombard, he had a crack at as well.
I had a go.
I think he, back in the day, him and I think even remember Soa Hulk, who I'm friends with as well. Like Hector Lombard, when he fought, everyone was like, damn, look at that dude. He was a specimen.
Yeah, man. He
was a specimen.
Yeah.
And I think Cole Noak fought him as well.
That's right, he did too. Yeah.
And I'm thinking, man, I would shit myself looking at that dude across the cage going, damn, that dude's a specimen. He looks strong.
At all the fighters that I've, sort of fun of, while I'm fighting them, and the only one that I was scared of was Hector, because he was so quick. I don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah,
that
true.
explosive.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's going to do.
But on that regional scene, he was pretty much like one of the invincible fighters, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he was
on a tear and just racking up fights. He's fighting frequently.
Yeah,
I don't know. He didn't really cop any serious injuries or anything.
Yeah, I think it was just his compact body.
Like he
was that compact. Like he had muscle upon muscle.
Yeah,
and probably and because he's obviously overseas these days, and still does.
Yeah.
Still does. You look at the man. I think he's in his 40s too, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I look at him on socials, and I'm like, damn, that dude. Look, it's just I don't know what it is. Just their genes and their just absolutely crazy sort of thing. Who back on the local scene? So most of your fighting was done like in Sydney?
No, not really, because MMA back then, New South Wales, it was illegal in New South Wales.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay.
So the only place we could actually compete in MMA was up in Queensland.
Queensland's the best state for fights.
Yeah.
Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing.
Yeah.
There's no authorities up there.
Yeah.
So anything goes.
So we were going up there.
Yeah, okay.
Until, became legal in New South Wales.
CFC,
yeah.
What was that? Where was that in Queensland as well? Or was that?
Oh no! So Luke Mazzuti ran that show. Yeah, that was here in Sydney, but I think he took it to Queensland.
Yeah, okay.
He took it around the place, I think. But that was like the number one show in Australia.
Yeah, okay.
At the time.
Yep. And you were the champ.
Yeah.
Of the CFC.
Yep.
And one thing that I was looking at or read when you fought Anthony Parash.
Yeah.
So you fought him and the ref stopped it.
Yeah.
And then something else, there was like you had, I told you, I dive deep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yep.
So, he wrote a statement saying something like, the actions or behaviour of James Te Huna, did they strip you of that fight, or what?
Yeah,
what was the?
Yep. So I was fined, and then I suffered. I was given consequences for that.
Yeah, right.
And rightfully so too, because I'd done an act.
Yeah.
It was like a full dog act.
Yeah.
I guess what I was going through, I was arguing with my brother backstage.
Yeah, right.
And then I was in a shitty mood, like a bad mood. I was not a man keeping his cool at all.
Yeah, okay.
I was like losing the plot, I was just losing my head. And then I was backstage and we were arguing, and I was like, nah, not going to warm up.
Yeah, and right.
My trainer, Stevie's tried to get me up. Let's warm up. And I'm like,
Ashby.
Warm up for a little bit, for like 30 seconds, and I'll sit back down and I go, nah, fuck it. I'll just go down and lose the fight. I don't care.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to lose.
Yeah.
And I was just like, shitty, and just switched off. and just waiting for something to like
click,
and then obviously for me to lose my shit.
Yep.
And then walked out there. Yeah, here we go. Hold on, loose. I don't care.
Yeah.
Walk out. The cage door closed.
Yep.
And then Anthony Price is in. I just it was like a full deal. It was a dirty act. What I done, I was just wild and I lost my cool.
Yeah.
And it was really ashamed about my actions during it. But what I done, I done was I went to when I've knocked him down. I've knocked Anthony Price down. I'm jumping on top of him, trying to finish him off.
Yeah.
And then he's on the ground, and the ref went to call the fight and pull me off, and I've pulled the ref aside, and then went to like stomp on him.
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
My foot hit his chest.
Oh, yeah, right.
And then everyone jumped in the ring and pulled me off.
Yeah.
And I was like still wild.
Just
I just had not just I shouldn't say that, but I did have a meltdown.
Yeah.
I lost my cool.
Yeah.
But I'll own it. I do own my actions.
100%, yeah.
And you definitely learn from it.
Yeah.
And it's not my character.
No.
And it's definitely changed things, I've looked at that, watching it over and over again. I'm thinking, well,
how did you get? I suppose when you watch it over and over, and you're like, what mental state was I in? Like, where was I at to be that sort of out of control sort of thing? It's and that's like the fight game too. Sometimes it's you see fighters when they just go in there and they're just like they lose all game plan, they lose all comprehension what the hell they're doing.
Yeah,
and it's just like they just want to hurt people or kill people, or they're just really what they're doing is probably just hurt themselves. But yeah, it's an interesting factor when the mindset, when you can go from, okay, I just don't want to warm up, I just want to, but as soon as you get in the cage or as soon as you get in that environment where you're like, boom, that click goes.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, it's like a blackout.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know really what I did, but looking back what I did, like, who the hell was that? What was that? So, but that's, that, as you say, that's just a learning curve of all different, when you're young and you sort of like got that much testosterone going and you sort of argue and you got a lot of different environments. Everyone's been through that scenario, once or more in their life.
Yeah.
For sure. So when you finished on the local circuit, and then you joined the UFC in 2011. And some of the names you fought on there are some huge names, But yeah, what was that experience like when you signed with them?
It was a bit of a buzz, man. Actually, my goal was to fight in Pride FC.
Okay.
So Pride FC is like the biggest promotion in the world at the time. It was bigger than UFC.
Yep.
And Mark Hunt was fighting there, and I was doing some training with him. And he was giving me some encouragement to fight there. And I think he got me like a 1-fight contract there, but that's when Pride went busted.
Yeah, that's UFC right. That's right.
Out Pride. But my goal was to get to Pride.
Yep.
And then Pride went bust.
Yeah.
Okay, so the UFC was coming to Australia.
That's right.
And I thought, okay, well, I'm the local guy that's kind of getting some wins and a bit of a win streak right now, and I'll try and put my name forward.
Yeah.
My brother Tama had a connection and overseas. They had managed UFC fighters.
Yeah.
And then got a contract and had their first fight there.
Yeah. No, I think was that in Sydney?
Yeah.
Because I think that was the first New Zealander to fight on the UFC.
Yeah.
I think it was even you were one of the first Australians to fight on Australian soil.
Oh yeah, I think
so.
I was the first.
Yeah. I think I seen
because it was the first time that they came to Australia.
I know. I know you were the first New Zealander to headline in New Zealand.
Yeah.
On the UFC when the UFC went to New Zealand, so that was a big buzz as well. So some of the Shogun Rua, obviously Glover Teixeira.
Yeah.
Ryan Jimmo, who else? Some of the names, Alexander Gustafsson.
Yeah.
So, and during all that time, obviously fighting huge names and dealing with some injuries at the same time. Obviously frustrating to try and be fighting, because I know some of the fights that you took, you were injured, but you didn't obviously most fighters. I don't want to pull out, but you fought anyway. Well, that must be frustrating when you sort of the body's not doing everything you want it to do.
Yeah, it sucks, man. Like
when you're lining up to fight some big names,
So you've got like around, let's just say, 3 months to prepare for a fight.
Yeah.
And then from the day that you take on the fight, which is you make the match, you accept the match, to the day that you step in the ring, you should be at the prime, tip-top shape of your life.
Yeah.
A lot of the times I'd walk into the ring, like, a broken down body, right. Like worse off than what I was 3 months prior to when I first started. But I like those challenges.
Yeah. I was going to say,
I always like to be the underdog.
Yeah.
But the real battle for me was trying to keep myself straight and positive.
Yeah.
During those times that I was hurt.
And how did you do that? Like obviously, when you go through injuries, you're always questioning yourself, and then you go, "Damn, I'm just about to fight." Shogun Rule or Glover Teixeira or Alexander Gustafsson. How do you keep that mindset going? I'm gonna do, even though my body feels broken down. But what's that mindset? What's that thought of going? Well, I'm not pulling out.
I didn't want to back down.
Yeah.
If I pulled out from the fight due to injury before the fight actually happened, I felt like I lost.
Yeah,
that was just an instant loss on my behalf, and I just didn't want to lose.
Yeah. But even today, like you get the fighters that have broken down bodies leading into a fight, and a week out or 2 weeks out, they go like, "I'm out. I'll pull the fight," because they want to readjust and reset, get over the injury, and then come back more healthier. Was that not a thought for you?
No, it was just like once I said yes on the contract, that was it.
That was it.
Yeah, if I was to pull out and I had the option to pull out, that's a loss, and I've copped that loss, and I couldn't live with that.
Yeah.
So it didn't really matter if I, crushed my way into the cage, crutches, and a broken leg. I'll still get in there and just try and do my best.
Yeah.
But 13 surgeries within the last 6 years of my career.
Yeah.
And fighting.
Yeah.
In between those things, it's a bit of a mission.
Oh man, that's what I mean. Like people may look at and watch your fights and say, "Oh, he lost these fights. He fought big names, but he lost that." But when you find the backstory and the mental toughness of your body breaking down during fight camp, and as I say, like the fighters today, they would just go, "You know what? It's 2 weeks out. I'm too busted up. Hey, so-and-so, I'm finished. I'm out of the fight. I've got to cancel because of injury." Like that can happen these days, and nothing's ever thought of it again. But mentally, that, as you say, that was a loss for you.
Yeah.
Going forward, that's what people have got to realise with the backstory is that was a loss for you. In your mind, that was you losing. Even though you're losing already because your body's already broken down and you're just about to go into one of the biggest fights of your life, each and every fight, especially in the cage and at that world level, to have that mental, no, I can't cancel out of my fight because that means I'm going to lose.
Yeah.
Which realistically is a bit, it blows my mind, because you think, you get to 2 weeks out or 3 weeks out and your body's all broken down, just to say, hey, look, it's not a losing of that fight. You just go, hey, I'm going to reschedule this fight because I'm not at 100%.
Mm-hmm.
There was never ever that thought.
Yeah, no, it was just like,
would you, if you were in that position now and you're in your prime now,
totally changed. Changed.
Now you'd go,
hey. I understand.
yeah. But that, again, that's all part of, I suppose, that journey, isn't it? Like, not just fighter's journey. I think that's just every sport journey. Like if you get that injury and it's leading up, athletes, athletics or whatever, they leading up to it, they just go, well, I've gone as much as I can, but I had to pull out. It's just part and parcel. But the mentality back then was just that.
I think a lot of fighters are lucky. Luck has a lot to do with it too, I think, with injuries and stuff like that. With injuries and that.
Yeah.
Some fighters are like strong in their body and get through with minimal injuries.
Yeah.
And then some get a lot of injuries like me.
Yeah.
But I think for me it was I reckon it was, to be honest, man, it would have been like the what I was doing outside of fighting to try and strengthen my body.
Yeah, true, yeah.
As well.
I mean, you've always said that Even in conversations with me, you always said if I had just done the chin-ups, the push-ups, and that, my body could have lasted a lot longer during the career.
Oh, like, you fighting the combat sports can create a few imbalances in your body.
Yeah.
So your strength and conditioning outside of the fight training should be about strengthening those weaknesses, all those areas that need to be strengthened to balance out the body. To prevent injury when you do fight train.
Yeah, definitely. And then obviously that mindset with the injuries, in one of the fights, I think I read you had I'm not quite sure what of the fight it was. You had like a broken left hand and a broken left foot.
Oh yeah.
I'm just trying to think where that fight that was.
I fought this guy called Joey Beltran.
That's right, because he was a replacement for Brendan Vera. That's right, because Brendan Vera had an injury.
Yep.
And pulled out, and then that Joey
Beltran.
He jumped in,
Yeah, so we had a good war. He's Joey Beltran's he's a bit of a hard nut.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have the physical looks of a fighter.
Nah.
But he's tough as nails.
Yeah.
I went out there.
Yep.
You start moving around in front of the fighter, you think you can tell within the first 30 seconds how this fight's gonna go.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've got this guy.
Yeah, right.
Then I started, boxing him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I threw this jab, and it hit the top of his
head,
and I went crack, and I went, oh, there goes my fist, there goes my hand. That's broken.
Yeah, right.
That's all right. I've got 3 limbs left.
Yeah.
I'll start using my legs.
Yeah.
So the next kick that I throw, I collected his my top of my foot hit his kneecap.
Oh wow!
He turned it out, and then crack. So that foot is broken. So I got broken hand, broken foot.
Wow!
The first minute of the fight, but it ends up going the distance.
Yeah.
3 5-minute rounds.
Unanimous decision. I think you got.
I got the win.
What's the thought pattern there when you go bang? You've jabbed him. It's on his top of his head. You feel your hand crack. And then you do a kick and you feel your leg and your foot crack. Obviously, the adrenaline's pumping, and you still, because I've seen fighters, even though they've just broken their hand, they mightn't use it as much as what they usually do, but they'll still throw it out to pretend that nothing's wrong with their hand or nothing wrong with their foot.
Yeah.
That's a crazy thought to me. I mean, I was lucky when I was fighting that I had a crack in my foot there once in Thailand, but to crack a hand and break a hand and still be going, okay, I'm going to still jab with that hand, like that gives me shivers. That just thinking, oh man, every time you throw that jab and you got a broken hand, you'd be like, oh.
Yeah. Well, like you
but I suppose when your adrenaline's pumping and you're in that environment, like you just you can't feel nothing until after the fight. But obviously you probably still feel it.
I think because boxing is not like any other sport. Boxing, like you're standing in front of someone that wants to
That's right.
beat you up.
Yeah.
So you're doing everything you can to survive and stay up and not get hurt.
Is mixed martial arts probably a little bit different where you can, if you crack your hand and broke it, obviously then you go, well, I've got kicks, I've got knees, I can sort of utilise and go,
weapons,
I can keep my hand back a bit and just push kick him or knee him or try and throw elbows in close. I suppose that's a bit of a blessing in that way.
Yeah, but still, it's straight away, you're like, oh, I can't use that hand, I can't stay positive, and then you got to keep a straight face,
saying,
a poker face, because the more experienced the fighter is, the more
pick
experience he has in his reading body language.
100%, yeah.
Great fighters are masters of reading body language.
100%. Yeah, and that's what I thought. Oh man, breaking your left foot and your left hand in the fight. Yeah. That mentally, that's got to go. Yeah,
Yeah, we actually had that fight. End of the fight, end up breaking the record for the most amount of strikes thrown in the UFC.
Really?
In history, the first one.
Wow, that's what I mean. When you get to that stages, and you're like, man, and you got that history of throwing as much strikes as you did. That's crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
And you say training with Mark Hunt, obviously one of the all-time greats to me, and good friend to obviously both of us. What was that? Because he would have been back in his prime, a bit of his prime as well when you sort of went under his wing and trained with him.
Yeah, so he just finished up his K1 career.
Yeah, okay.
And then signed up to Pride FC.
Yep.
And we were training under the same jiu-jitsu coach.
Yep.
And then Mark and I were like probably a 40 minutes drive away from each other.
Yep.
And you would go out to his gym and train and stuff because there was only like a small handful of people that were actually training MMA in Sydney.
It was
only like a new sport.
Yeah, true.
So we'll get out there and try some stuff and all that.
Yep.
And he's a massive pioneer for the sport.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
My idols growing up were Mike Tyson, John Alomu, David Tur, and then Mark Hunt.
Yeah. I think he's a lot of people. I mean, to me, he mightn't have won like a so-called a UFC belt, but he won obviously K1 Max, which was back in that day. The K1 was it. Like that was the biggest thing. And Mark Hunt,
it was exciting.
Yeah, and the Ray Cephalo fight. Well, I talked to Mark about that on the podcast. That was one of the craziest fights in my viewing in history. And then Ray hurts his eye. Mark comes back out, fights again, knocks out Lebanon, I think it was, or something.
Yeah.
And went on and ended up winning the K1. You know, like that was crazy. But to me, like Mark, for what he's done and who he stood up to, which is pretty much everyone. That's what I class as when people say these days the loose word of legends or greatest of all times, that's who you got to really compare to. The ones who have fought the best of the best, win, lose or draw, but they've been in the kickboxing world, they've been in the Pride world, they've been in the K1 world, they've been in the UFC world, they've been in whatever world, and they've fought whoever they've put in front of them.
Yeah.
To me, that's what your class is one of the greatest of all times.
Yeah.
And, if anyone argues that against me, well, so be it. But, it's not, you're only just friends with me. But it's just that's the fight. That's what I class as one of the greatest of all times because of what he's done and what he's represented and being a pioneer of what he's done for others too.
He's fought the greats at their best, at 100%. Their peak. He hasn't fought greats past there.
No.
And I see a lot of that today.
100%.
People.
And the ones that the company was trying to put him against to lose so they could move forward and just line him up for a fight, he was knocking them out. The Struves and he was just knocking them out. And then even when he lost, it still took a man mountain to stop him.
Yeah.
And that's he's one of the toughest going around. That's why training under him would have been just, and the same as Bam Bam now. Bam Bam's sort of going from stage to stage, and he's doing so well now where he was on a losing streak. But he trained under Mark since he was 16 as one of Mark's sparring partners. Mm-hmm. And you see Tai Tuivasa now is just excelling in everything he does,
Yeah.
And his value's gone up and up and up all the time, every time he fights. And he's got obviously Cyril in coming up soon. But just some of those sort of stories that he even told when he was in Newcastle. He come up Newcastle and were there, and Mark was training for the boxing. And just some of the stories when he was young, 16 years old, sparring with Mark Hunt. I was like, wow, that's 16-year-old. That is crazy, that is crazy. But that's why he's got the mentality he has now of fighting some of the best in the world, and beating them, which is great to see. So you go. I remember the New Zealand UFC. You were the main event, first New Zealander to do the main event. Nate Marquette, I think was the fight. Obviously didn't go to plan again, probably with the injuries coming into that fight, but you weren't going to back out of it. But that experience in New Zealand, like going back to your sort of, the country that you're born in to lead the main event.
It's awesome. I've always wanted to, represent my country. Like when I was a kid, I'd love to be on, out in the field playing for the All Blacks. That was my goal.
Yeah.
But had the opportunity to take that fight on.
Yep.
And took it on and had probably the worst luck of injuries actually.
Yeah, true.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
shouldn't have fought that fight, but I fought. I stepped in the cage.
Yeah.
Learned a lot about myself.
Yep.
Learned a lot about my trainers and what I was dragging them through.
Yeah,
because they were like,
you
should not be doing this, and I'm like, no, I'm doing it.
Did I, not that it was probably for this fight, but I was hearing, obviously in the fight game, that something when you were having sparring, like you were getting hit pretty hard, but then there was some sort of talk that there was like the lesions on your brain at one stage or something. Was that true?
Oh yeah. So towards the end of my career, they had the last knockout, and they had had a brain scan done.
Was that with Shogun?
No, that was the very last fight. It was against Steve Bose.
Oh, Steve Bose. That's right.
2016. Yeah, that was the last fight, and then after that fight, I called it.
Yeah, okay.
But copped a good knock.
Yep.
I copped a good knock against Shogun Amura, knockout loss. And lost that one, and then the second knockout loss was Steve Bose.
Yeah, okay.
So then I called it quits after that, like getting some not so positive results back from the brain scan.
Yep.
So I went and seen the neurologist and it's a neurosurgeon. And he showed me, okay, well, this is what your,
brain.
This is what's going on, sort of thing.
Yep.
You got to think about, contact sports and your future and all that.
Yep.
It's up to you what decision you want to make. So I was like, okay, normally, or going for surgery, get it fixed, come back out, and I'm fighting. But the old noggin, can't mess around with that. So
100%.
Yeah, I called it.
Yeah, that was 2016.
Yeah,
you announced your retirement. So after that, obviously that news, how was life as soon as you announced your retirement? How was life after that, sort of straight after that sort of thing? Because obviously your accomplishments really stands for themselves. The first New Zealander to compete in the UFC, obviously. First New Zealand to win a fight in the UFC, fight of the night. Then you had the CFC light heavyweight champ and so forth. When it all comes to the end, and as I've talked to other sports guys and sports friends that I have, when you come to the end of your career and the constant training, the sort of celebrity status that people know you, the crowd cheering, it's like an adrenaline drug. What was that like when you thought, man, my health is important, I got to retire? Was it an easy decision, or was it just like, oh man, this is killing me, bit down, or?
Oh, it was like I was bummed out and everything. But I've been on a four fight losing skid.
Yeah, okay.
Had 2 knockout losses.
Yeah.
So I was like, at the end of my career in a way, I wasn't really keen to like go through that training process to get 100%. Ready for a fight and stuff like that. I hated it, because of my experience with injuries. I hated it. But then for you to be successful at it, you got to love everything. You got to love the fight. You got to love the training and everything, the whole process. Yeah, I didn't like it. I started hating it. Yeah. So that was like, okay, well, this is happening. Yep. Okay, bang.
It's fascinating how people, when we all get into the fight game, it's like, oh, we're passionate about it, we live for it, we're excited about it. But you get to that stage where you've gone through so many battles, so many adversities, and then you get to the stage and you hear so many people, like, I don't care whether it's tennis players or rugby league players, they just go, I just don't like it. I don't like it anymore. I don't love it anymore. Mm-hmm. And then that's the time to go. But you see some people go, I don't love it anymore, but I'll just continue doing it. Yeah. That must be hard, just grinding through the training. But when you get to the stage where you go, I loathe it. I hate it. That's the time to go, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
And the accomplishments obviously talk for themselves. You've fought the best in the world. I think you've even had the best walkout was Man in Black.
Man in Black, yeah.
Man, that was crazy. That was crazy. Everyone was, I think everyone didn't expect that.
That was back when entrances were fun.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have to like walk out with
the uniforms.
The uniform,
the strict. Now they've even taken, with MMA, they've taken, not even allowed to have your country flag.
Oh, really?
Bringing it out, yeah.
Man, UFC are just like taking control.
Crazy, isn't it? Yeah. Crazy. They just, everything's for the money. Like, it's just not letting the fighters have the love. And it's probably like, you only just got to look at some of the fights that are happening soon, like Luke Rockhold. He's just letting the UFC have it. Like he's just killing them. But
so if we take it back like 10 years, where a fighter could walk out
with all these sponsors on his pants,
helping him.
He may have made an extra 10 or 20,000. Money wise.
Yeah. So you got these fighters that are walking out with their sponsors.
Yeah.
And then with their flag.
But now they can't even walk out with their country's flag.
Yeah, shocking. Eh? So that's happening, and then they've had that taken away from them.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, UFC are making a lot more money than
100%.
We're like 10 years.
But then they go, oh well, incentives are this and that. But the incentives are nothing.
It hasn't gone up.
It's nothing.
It hasn't gone up at all. Like it was bad back then.
Yep.
And it hasn't moved in like 10 years.
But I remember even the bonus, fight of the nights and that was 75,000. And they're all 50,000 now. Yeah. And people go, 50,000, that's a lot of money. But when you put your life on the line and you fight a war and do damage to your body, 50,000, nothing.
Yeah. But fans don't get this. No. It's like, okay, so a fighter goes out there, he wins 50 grand for the fight. He gets a bonus, 50 grand. Then he might be out for the whole year 100%. And fight next year. So that's the wage for the whole year.
$50,000, that is just like, well, that's just a minimum year's wage.
Yeah.
So after you retired, 2016, post life of James Te Huna, like obviously I know with your training up there with the Newcastle Knights, with your wrestling, what else is doing in your life?
So I got into as soon as I finished up, I got into a teaching role.
Yep.
I started teaching some MMA seminars.
Oh yeah.
So kind of went around Australia, New Zealand, had fun with that, and then I got a opportunity to provide services as a wrestling coach for like a tackle coach for St. George Dragons.
Yep.
So 2018, 2019, I was doing part-time work down there. Then I've been doing the same thing every year since with different clubs.
Yeah,
currently with Newcastle. A few years ago, I got into providing support programs for out-of-home care.
Yeah, okay.
Youth.
Yep. And then obviously outside of that, the Engage 100, obviously you got the app going on, the PDF where people can get involved in your Engage 100. So training-wise, chin-ups, push-ups, squats,
stuff, man.
Everything you wished you had done through your fight career.
Yeah, it's not complicated. It works.
Yep.
It's basic. You can do it, at home or at the park. And, gyms these days are quite intimidating.
Yeah, 100%.
Like you walk up into the gym and especially like a full-on weights gym and everyone's walking at you.
100%.
It's like a steering contest.
Yeah, 100%. So who's bigger or who's the gangster or whatever. So in the end, if you weren't fighting, what do you think you would have been doing for those years?
Fighting? Not much.
Not much at all.
No, if I wasn't fighting, no, actually, I was a brickies labourer.
Oh, that's right. Because Tommy, your brother, is
a brickie.
He's got the business brickies labourer.
Yeah. So I was brickies labouring when I was 16 when I first moved over here.
Okay.
16, 17 years old, and I started brickies labouring and then training as well.
That's a tough old job.
And then I got on a trail and started laying bricks.
Yeah.
But it is a tough job.
Oh, tough job. But but in regards to one of your favourite like when I say sports persons or heroes, as you said, you were looking at John Lomu, Mark Hunt, Dave Tua. Would that be who you would be looking at?
Yeah, my biggest one's Mike Tyson.
Yeah,
biggest one. Yeah, because growing up in the 80s and 90s and anything that New Zealand's quite big on boxing. So if there's any big boxing event, New Zealand's chucking it on TV.
Yeah, okay.
And so I'd see Tyson, small clip of Tyson in the sports news.
Yeah.
And then he's, running in the dark.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, well, that's what I got to do.
That's what you got to do.
So 100%. Like running in the dark and the rain, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because, Mike was doing it.
Yep.
And I always used to think that, how cool would it be to be in like Mike Tyson's shoes?
100%,
competing against the best in the world.
Yeah.
And then years later, I'm at the MGM.
Yeah.
I look through the cage fence when I'm about to fight, waiting for the bell to go, and there's Mike Tyson. He's watching me fight. Yeah,
that's crazy. Cool. That is cool. Yeah, I've met Mike a few times. Hung out at his place with Jeff Fennick, and he's a different cat. He's a different character. You know, whether you get good Mike, bad Mike, cranky Mike, whatever. But when you're a kid watching that guy fight in the 80s, as you say, 80s and 90s, and then you get to meet him and you get to hang out with him, it's just like. It was like meeting Muhammad Ali. It was just like, wow, this is a dream. This is crazy.
Yeah.
You used to idolise this dude. Now you're just hanging out and he knows you and you're just hanging with him.
Yeah.
That was crazy. That's a crazy experience. So, yeah, definitely that would be the best sporting memory for James.
Best sporting memory.
Yeah, what's sort of that comes to mind?
Best sporting memory. It would have to be. The one that comes to mind is David Tua fighting Lennox Lewis.
Yeah, right.
It was like, even though he lost that fight, but it was just for Dave to get there.
I think he got a lot of respect out of that fight too, didn't he?
Yeah. It was just it was a great match for Lennox.
Yeah,
and probably the wrong time for
Dave.
Tua. Yeah. But anyone else,
but still looking. As a New Zealander, watching that fight would have been a proud moment for the whole country of New Zealand.
Yeah.
So wow, we've made it to the top. Everyone in New Zealand would have been on the back of Dave too.
Yeah. So that's one fight that comes to mind.
Yeah, right.
That would always stick with me.
Yeah, 100%. And when what's the probably coaches or whatever? What's the best advice you've ever received? When it comes to fighting, personal life, or whatever it may have been?
Other
than arguing with your brother.
Best piece of advice. I don't know. Like I've always listened to people. I acknowledge what people have to say to me when they've got a lot of experience.
Yeah.
So especially like people that are older than me.
Yeah.
You know, always like respect. Always respect the elders because, to be honest, they know more than me.
100%. That journey's been through the same.
Yep.
I remember Tai Tuivasa saying that when he's in Newcastle, and I was like, "Oh, what do you want to do?" And he's just like, "I only just listen to the people that have probably been there and done it, but they're older than me and they've been in the game a lot longer than me. They can advise me on what they want, what's best for me in regards to that." And I thought, "Oh, that's from a young guy who could probably just walk around and do what he wants to do to say that." And he was, he's obviously very popular, but I thought, oh, that's, he's got his head screwed on, he's searching for that knowledge, and which makes a person a great athlete when they're searching for knowledge all the time.
Yeah.
When they think I know everything now, I don't need to know anything, that's when you start to come to a stop. But when you're always searching, and even as coach, if you're searching for knowledge, that means you're a good coach. You're always willing to be open-minded about finding different ways of doing things, sport, life, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And if there was obviously young men or women in the sport, fight sport, or just in life, what advice would you give them?
Coming into the sport, or that are in the sport, listen to your coaches. Yeah, listen to your coaches, and
listen to your body.
Yeah, listen to your body. Yeah, listen to your coaches because again, they're the ones with a lot of experience.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's a decent one. And you, as I say, the greatest success that you can sort of, and it doesn't have to be in the fight. It's sort of
my greatest success. Yeah, straight away comes to my mind is my very first fight.
Yep.
As a 14-year-old.
Yep.
At the bottom of New Zealand.
Yeah. Okay.
In Invercargill, and I fought at this army base.
Yeah.
And
right.
it was like he's this kid that is bad starter, shy, and insecure. And I walked out there to this ring that's in the middle of a sort of army base. So it's a hangar.
Yeah.
And it's the hangars, the ring's in the middle of the hangar.
Yeah.
And it's probably like, say, 100 people, 150 people there. All the men dressed up in uniform.
Yeah,
and they turned around and watching me walk in. I'm like, oh no.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm like, shitting myself and stepping in the ring, and that was the biggest fight of my life.
Yeah, and probably
that first one.
And probably, it's the little simple things too, especially growing up with all those sort of adversities you went through, and then it probably would have felt like more of an accomplishment.
Yeah,
just going, wow, I got to this stage, which I never thought I'd get to.
Yeah,
that's a great memory. And before we sort of finish up, what is James Te Huna's rich life these days? What really makes you happy and content with what you do in life these days?
Exercise.
Training, why not? Exercise,
love, family, community.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
No, it's beautiful, man. I just want to, again, take this opportunity to thank you for coming on the Rich Life Projects. It's been a absolute pleasure because you're a champion of a dude. And, mate, thank you.
Thanks, man.